Hi guys, welcome to our market update. We usually do this either Monday or Friday. We're trying a midweek thing, seeing something different, something new. Thank you for joining us today. We put this together so you have an understanding of the San Diego real estate market. If you've watched other videos, other platforms, you might see one direction of the market, yet in San Diego, it's very different across the U.S., especially because we have such low inventory. I'm going to have that clicker below so you can kind of see how drastically low our inventory is. 1,900 properties currently with pending properties, 2,100. So we're talking about less than a month of inventory across the board if most of those pending properties do sell. But yeah. But before we get into anything more about properties and the market, let's talk about interest rates. David.
So, Vinnie, I just want to circle back really quick. Are those properties coming on? Are they more single family or multi-units? Because I see more multi-units coming on now.
I focus, on this click right here on single family. Usually don't put multi properties there. Because most people that are probably watching this are looking at the idea of buying a property to live in. Yet you can, as David can attest to, is buy a multi-unit property, live in one of the units, and rent the back unit. So, or rent the other three. So there are options like that. But for the most part, this clicker below is all about single-family homes.
Well, with that being said, everyone's probably curious, is the banking meltdown affecting interest rates? What did the Fed do? How is this affecting us? What's going on? Is it complete bananas again like 2008? And I hate to tell a lot of people out there, that banking crisis was actually more legitimate than a lot of people really understand. And that's why you saw when it first rose its ugly head on Friday, that the entire weekend, the Fed and the government worked to do bailouts to prevent a run on the banks on Monday morning. So for those of you that didn't notice, Silicon Valley Bank went out of business. Signature Loan went out of business. First Republic Bank was taken over conservatorship. All of that is it's about $250 million worth of debt that the government is now going to backstop and pay for, which means there's a lot more money entering the system that's going to basically have an effect on inflation. That's bad. But the good news is it stabilized the banking system, because I think we will see more of that coming. And then on top of that, today on Wednesday, the Fed came out and did its interest rate decision, and it raised it. It was going to raise it 50 basis points, which is 0.50. It only raised it 0.25%, just so that it didn't look like it was basically keeled over and dead. And in turn, how'd that affect everybody else? Well, like if you've been watching the show with me and Vinnie for a while today, you will know when the Fed increases rates, it decreases mortgage rates. So mortgage rates got lower today by 0.5 point. So if your lender has been playing his cards correctly, he or she, whoever it is, you could have locked in today and scored 0.5% lower than you could have yesterday if your lender actually follows economics. So big news today.
Just want to jump in. So if people are looking at specific numbers, again, it varies based off of your situation, but we're probably talking about somewhere in the high fives, right, David? Maybe low sixes.
Oh man, it's like, yes, I would say the high fives just to be safe, but it's like realistically, it's like you had things dip down on FHA and VA, even dip down more, down into, let's say, 5.25. That's happening. Yeah. VA 5.25, which is pretty huge. And other things for 30-year base fixed rate mortgages, probably averaging today around 6.25. The APR is a little bit different because if you pay for points or don't pay for points, that's going to depend right there. But overall, if you played the market right today, getting a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 6.25 or 6.375, extremely likely, as opposed to a week ago, we were at 7.
Yeah. So, be aware of that. And like David said, and if you watched our platform before, you know that once you actually get into escrow, you have the ability to lock in your rate, not necessarily at the early stages of it. If your lender, your originator is kind of responsive and keep an eye on the market, like Dave was talking about, they could basically lock it in midway through escrow. Or, I mean, maybe you got into escrow, yesterday, and now you're like, I want to lock my rate today because rates are going to probably be better than they are today. Some lenders have the ability to readjust the rate. So you can lock it in. They have one time to readjust it. Some lenders have the ability to lock in the interest rate before you actually get into contract. So just have a talk with your lender and see what's even possible, what's doable with their situation and what's with their program. Because again, your situation could be different from someone else's situation.
So true, Vinny. And the other thing you want to consider is the market's going to be very volatile with these banking crises because it is big. And then tomorrow you have initial jobless claims coming out, which is huge, continuing claims coming out, which is huge, and new home sales numbers, which is huge. And then Friday is durable goods orders. And why do I mention durable goods? Because durable goods is all the things people buy for their homes. And if durable goods orders are declining or going down, it means people are not buying long-term durable things for their homes, which is bad. So we ideally would like to see that number increase and be productive and positive, which we're hoping it will be. My opinion right now is the banking crisis and the Fed, they're going to retreat, and I think rates are going to end up probably getting lower now. The problem is inflation is not going to get lower now due to the banking crisis. It's probably going to stay stagnant. But once again, over summer, still predicting that's the lowest bar to meet inflation cues. So June, July, August, September, probably going to get some good news. And I still think rates will be lower around that time.
Remember, right now, what you're seeing in this current market is basically really, most people that are selling their properties are either selling their properties and going to rent, but a lot of people, I usually sell my property and buy something bigger or move out of state. So you're seeing people that either are landlords that are selling their rental properties, or they're moving out of state. That's one of the things that's really affecting the low inventory right here. So something to think about, if rates do go down, we might see that effect of even more demand on the market, yet we could see more inventory hitting the market too, because now you're going to have some move-up buyers, downsizing buyers. So that could balance out a little bit. So it's not necessarily, you might hear, interest rates are going to go down. That's going to actually make it even a worse of a market to buy in. But be aware, it might actually allow us to get more inventory. So you can have people moving to other properties because they have the 3% interest rate. If we get down to 5, then it's not as big of a jump from 3% to 6%, if that makes sense.
I think we're going to get the 5, Vinny. I think we're going to get to the 5s. I think that's pretty likely to be in the 5s, where the 5's the new normal. And the other thing is, in these times when there's lots of uncertainty, the only thing that's certain is people will certainly make bad decisions, which is a great time for you to capitalize, especially if people are getting the wrong advice. You may be able to get a property at a great deal right now, especially investment properties and people who are leaving. So in times of crisis, creates opportunity. Always look to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and again, it's understanding
we got an action background today.
Yeah, it's understanding basically your situation, because your situation could be different from someone else's, and the shiny objects are going to sell in most markets, right? If they're fairly priced right, shiny objects are going to sell in most markets. Now, the ones that need a little loving, right? Those can actually be the ones that sit on the market a little bit longer, that you can have the actual ability to purchase and get some value on. So be aware that if you're one of those people that watch HGTV and those kind of platforms of how to renovate your property, and items like that, look into the numbers and be aware that, talk to your realtor and see where the value is in the market, because that can help you out drastically compared to basically those move-in properties that are been fully upgraded and flipped. Thank you guys for watching. We try to keep it under 10 minutes, and we're almost at that threshold. Please reach out if you have any sort of questions. Talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye.